Have you ever dreamed of driving a car that doesn't just take you somewhere, but takes you back in time? Because today, you're about to discover the 10 most beautiful, powerful, and elegant American cars of the 1950s. These weren't just machines. They were symbols of luxury, freedom, and pure design excellence, rolling works of art that still make the hearts of car lovers race decades later. Before we start, do something important. Hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, because here, we don't just show cars, we celebrate them. Let's begin. 1954 Buick Skylark convertible. Have you ever seen a car that looks like it was designed not just for the streets, but for dreams? That's exactly what the Buick Skylark represents. This wasn't just another convertible. It was a statement, a celebration of elegance and the golden age of American style. Built to commemorate Buick's 50th anniversary, the Skylark was the brand's declaration of pride. In an era obsessed with curves, chrome, and show-stopping beauty, Buick didn't follow trends. It created them. The Skylark was pure visual poetry. Its low-slung profile, flowing chrome side moldings, and wire wheels reflected light like jewelry in motion. Here's what makes it even more special. Only 836 units were produced. That means owning one today is like owning a unicorn on wheels. Under its sculpted hood roared a 322 cubic inch V8, delivering nearly 200 horsepower. But power wasn't the point. Presence was. When you turned the key, the engine didn't shout. It purred with quiet confidence. And if you're wondering why collectors revere this model so deeply, here's the secret. Each Skylark was hand-built. Buick literally took a Roadmaster apart and rebuilt it piece by piece with meticulous craftsmanship. No assembly lines, no shortcuts. Every seam, every curve, every panel was touched by human hands. The 1954 version marked the end of the original Skylark series, which makes it even more coveted. It was the final encore of an era when Buick dared to rival Cadillac, offering luxury for those who didn't need to prove anything. They simply were. The kind of car that didn't need to say, "Look at me," because everyone already was. 1951 Mercury 8 Coupe. If there's one car that managed to transcend metal and become a living legend, it's the Mercury 8 Coupe. But this isn't just another icon. This car didn't just define an aesthetic, it embodied an attitude, a way of life, rebellious, bold, and unapologetic. One glance is all it takes to understand why it became one of the most beloved classics among hot rod and custom culture enthusiasts. With its long, low silhouette, the 51 Mercury seemed to float across the asphalt, gliding rather than rolling. Its smooth lines, chopped roof, custom grille, and lowered bumpers all screamed personality. But the most fascinating thing about this car is that its true glory didn't come from the factory. No. The Mercury was the blank canvas of an entire generation of metal artists who wanted to leave their mark on automotive history through their craftsmanship. The term lead sled was born from cars like this. Sled, because of that sleek sliding look, like a sled with no brakes. And lead, because back in the day, customizers used molten lead to smooth and reshape body panels before body filler even existed. It was heavy, painstaking work, but the results were mesmerizing. The custom Mercury 8 became the star of every street, every car show, every movie. Under the hood, the Mercury came equipped with a 255 cubic inch flathead V8. It wasn't a rocket, but it had enough torque to embarrass plenty of rivals, especially once modified. And that's exactly what people did. Swapped engines, added side pipes, lowered the stance even more, painted flames or pearlescent finishes. Every Mercury was a unique piece of rolling art. No two were ever alike. 1956 Lincoln Continental Mark II. This wasn't just a luxury car, it was a bold declaration of what America could achieve when it decided not to compete, but to dominate with elegance. Picture it, mid-1950s America, the economy booming, black and white televisions filling living rooms with dreams, and then this car appears, long, low, imposing. No tail fins, no loud chrome, no gimmicks, just pure, flawless lines and a presence that whispered power through restraint. The Mark II wasn't built by the regular Lincoln division, but by a special Ford subsidiary called the Continental Division, created exclusively to produce this model. Yes, this car had its own division. That's how seriously Ford took it. Each one was hand-assembled with obsessive precision, the kind usually reserved for Swiss watches. And here's the fact that blows everyone's mind. It cost more than a Rolls-Royce at the time. While other brands were trying to look luxurious, the Continental Mark II simply was. Inside, everything was wrapped in fine leather, with imported carpets, subtle chrome trim, and a level of silence that felt almost celestial. Its 368 cubic inch V8 wasn't built to roar. It was built to glide. Who bought them? Celebrities, tycoons, even presidents. Frank Sinatra had one. Elvis Presley too. This wasn't a car for everyone. It was for those who were already legends. And yet, only about 3,000 units were ever produced. Not because it failed, but because Ford knew something few companies understand today. True exclusivity isn't about how many want it. It's about how few can have it. Now, let me ask you something. Because if you're watching this, you get cars. If you could drive any 1950s car down an empty boulevard at sunset, your favorite song playing in the background, would this Lincoln be your choice? Tell me in the comments. I want to know if you too feel that pull toward the kind of beauty that doesn't shout. It commands. 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Seville. Some cars were built to take you from point A to point B. And then there's the 1957 Cadillac Eldorado Seville, a car designed to make everyone watch you while you did it. This wasn't just transportation, it was the event, a rolling declaration of power and prestige, proof that you had arrived where others only dreamed. Unlike the famous Biarritz convertible, the Seville was the hardtop version, but by no means less impressive. In fact, many argue it was even more commanding. Why? Because it retained the same dramatic lines, the blinding chrome, and that long, low silhouette that looked like it was gliding rather than rolling, but with the confidence and presence of a solid roof that made it appear bolder, stronger, more self-assured. Visually, it was a masterpiece. From the grille that smiled like polished teeth to the soaring tail fins ready to take flight, every inch of the Seville was engineered to impress, and it did. There wasn't a street corner it didn't own. It didn't ask for attention. It demanded it. Under the hood, a 325 horsepower V8, 8 paired with a hydromatic automatic transmission, made every drive feel like gliding over marble. It wasn't just fast, it was majestic. Sitting behind the wheel of an Eldorado Seville wasn't like getting into a car. It was like entering a 5-star suite on wheels. Inside, Cadillac spared no expense. Padded panels, leather and brocade upholstery, color-matched metallic finishes. Every surface was crafted to surround you in luxury. This wasn't a car you sat in, it was a car you settled into. And here's a detail few know. The name Seville was chosen to evoke European sophistication. Though its design was 100% American, Cadillac wanted the name to sound refined, aristocratic, almost continental. And it worked, because when you said Eldorado Seville, you weren't naming a car. You were announcing nobility. 1957. Pontiac Bonneville convertible. Some cars are made to follow the road, and others, like the Bonneville, are made to create it. This model didn't just mark a new chapter for Pontiac, it redefined what the brand stood for. Because when you combine bold design, raw performance, and technological innovation in one convertible body, the result can only be unforgettable. The 1957 Bonneville was Pontiac's statement piece. Its way of saying, we can play with the big names in American luxury. And it didn't say it quietly. It proved it with engineering. The most shocking part? It was the first Pontiac ever equipped with fuel injection. While carburetors still ruled the roads, Pontiac broke boundaries with a Rochester fuel injection system, pushing its 347 cubic inch V8 to an astonishing 310 horsepower. This wasn't just a sleek convertible, it was a straight-line missile. Its acceleration was explosive for its time, and its deep restrained roar made your pulse quicken before your foot even hit the floor. But the Bonneville wasn't all muscle, it was also a showpiece. Two-tone paint, generous chrome accents, unique badging, and white wall tires completed a look that was as glamorous as it was powerful. Inside, luxury reigned. Premium upholstery, power seats, an automatic signal-seeking radio, and a dashboard that looked like it belonged in a fighter jet. And here's the clincher, only 630 units were built that year, all fully loaded, no stripped-down versions, no cheap options. Each was numbered, each a statement of status. Seeing one on the street wasn't just rare, it was a moment, because whoever drove a Bonneville wasn't just someone with money. They were someone with taste, power, and vision. 1953, Oldsmobile Super 88. At the dawn of the 1950s, General Motors wanted to show the world what American luxury could be, without falling into excess. Buick and Cadillac were the heavyweights, sure, but it was Oldsmobile that found the perfect balance between sophistication, innovation, and style with the Super 88. It was the kind of car that made you feel special the moment you opened its door. The 1953 model was pure harmony in motion. Its rounded fenders, smooth curves, and wide yet subtle grille gave it a quiet confidence. A car that stood out not by being loud, but by being right. Its paint colors glowed under the sun, while the chrome accents shimmered like they'd been polished one by one. Under the hood lived the 303 cubic inch Rocket Vive 8, one of GM's first truly modern engines, producing around 165 horsepower. But this car wasn't about numbers. It was about refinement. It drove with grace and silence, offering a serenity few cars could match. Inside, it was all comfort and craftsmanship. Wide, plush seats that felt like living room sofas, a metallic dashboard that glistened softly in the light, and tactile knobs that reminded you this machine had been built with care. No rush, no noise, just presence. So, why did this car fade into obscurity? Maybe because it wasn't flashy. It didn't have tail fins or a dramatic name. But for those who understand classic cars, the Super 88 represents the truest kind of luxury, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be felt. Now I'll ask you directly, because you're part of this journey. Do you remember ever seeing a Super 88 when you were younger? Maybe your father or a neighbor had one. Or if you're discovering it today. Do you think this kind of quiet elegance still holds value in today's world? Tell me in the comments. 1958 Packard Hawk. Some cars are built to fit in. Others, like the Packard Hawk, were built to stand out, to provoke, to make you look twice and ask, "What on earth is that?" And when you got close, you understood. It was a wild mix of luxury and performance. A beast dressed in a tuxedo. A rare anomaly in an era when most manufacturers were starting to play it safe. The Hawk was Packard's last desperate swing for survival. Once a name synonymous with elegance and prestige, Packard was collapsing. But instead of fading quietly, it went out with a bang, merging its legacy with Studebaker's daring design language to create a car that looked like it came from another planet. Its silhouette was radical. The front end was long and low, with a shark-like grille, while the rear rose dramatically, as if ready to take off. The headlights bulged slightly from the hood, giving it the look of a science fiction prototype. Some found it shocking, others mesmerizing, but no one ignored it. The Packard Hawk didn't ask to be different. It was different. Beneath that bold exterior was an equally fierce heart, a supercharged V8 delivering 275 horsepower, making it the most powerful Packard ever built. It didn't just look aggressive, it was aggressive. It roared with pride and accelerated with fury, offering a driving experience that rivaled cars worth 5 times its original price. Inside, it was every bit a Packard. Genuine leather upholstery, finely detailed panels, a central clock on the dashboard, and an immersive driving position that wrapped around you. It was designed to stand out, but also to indulge. And here's the detail that turned it into a cult legend. Only 588 units were ever made. A limited edition car launched at the worst possible moment. But today, it stands as one of the rarest and most intriguing machines of the 1950s. A commercial failure then, but a collector's gem now. 1955 Studebaker President Speedster. Not every car that defined the 1950s came from Detroit's automotive giants. Sometimes the most fascinating innovation is born from the boldness of smaller, independent brands. And that's exactly what the Studebaker President Speedster represented. A car that didn't just challenge expectations, it shattered them, with daring style, refined craftsmanship, and a truly spirited heart. When the Speedster hit the scene, it wasn't just another model, it was a statement. Studebaker, already respected for its smart engineering and distinctive design, decided to prove that it could build a car-blending sports car character with interior detail worthy of far more expensive Mark II. Under the hood, it carried a 185 horsepower V8, delivering lively performance for its time. It wasn't quite a muscle car, not yet, but its light body and rear-wheel drive made it agile, quick, and incredibly fun to drive, especially on open roads. It wasn't all show, it could move. What makes the President Speedster even more special today is its rarity. Only just over 2,200 units ever left the factory. Each one was unique, with its own color combinations, materials, and trim, giving it an almost handcrafted feel. Today, collectors treasure it, not because it's obvious or mainstream, but precisely because it isn't. The Speedster was charm, elegance, and rebellion all in one. A hidden gem from a company that dared to dream differently. 1955, Chrysler Imperial Newport. In the world of classic cars, some names echo through time. And then there's Imperial, which, in 1955, was reborn as its own brand under Chrysler, ready to challenge Cadillac's absolute dominance in the American luxury market. Its opening statement came in the form of the Newport, a coupe that exhaled authority and sophistication with effortless grace. At first glance, you knew this wasn't an ordinary Chrysler. The Newport had a stance that was both elegant and imposing. Its design borrowed inspiration from the great European coach builders, especially in the grille's shape, the chrome detailing, and the fluidity of its lines. Yet it never lost that bold, unmistakably American soul. It was like an aristocrat with a cowboy's spirit, refined, but ready to command the road when needed. And speaking of command, under that long hood rested one of the most iconic engines of its era, the HEMI V8. It wasn't just powerful, it delivered its strength with composure and confidence, as if the car knew it had nothing to prove. With 250 horsepower and a buttery smooth throttle response, the Newport turned every drive into a luxurious, serene experience. Inside, it was nothing short of stunning. Wide leather seats, polished metal trim, elegantly detailed door panels, and a dashboard that struck the perfect balance between beauty and functionality. It wasn't just a car interior, it was a rolling lounge, complete with white wall tires and a chrome heartbeat. Though Cadillac ruled the luxury scene, the Imperial Newport arrived to say, "I wear my own crown." It didn't shout, it spoke with quiet confidence, with craftsmanship and class that even Cadillac loyalists had to respect. And here's a fascinating detail. Some of the Imperial's 1955 design cues were overseen by Virgil Exner, the visionary behind Chrysler's soon-to-be-famous forward look. This car was one of the first glimpses of that revolution. Clean lines, modern proportions, and a sense of motion, even when standing still. 1957, DeSoto Fireflite Sportsman. This was no subtle car. It was a showstopper, the kind of machine that made pedestrians pause, kids point in awe, and rival drivers take a deep breath. The Fireflite Sportsman was, without a doubt, one of the boldest, most flamboyant, and most commanding models DeSoto ever built. It was a two-door coupe with the soul of a movie star. From its brilliant two-tone paint, rich colors playing off one another, to the chrome accents that caught the sunlight like jewelry, this car was designed to dazzle from every angle. Its body lines were daring and fluid, almost theatrical, and its dual headlights, a cutting-edge feature for the time, gave it an almost human expression, confident, determined, alive. But the Fireflite wasn't just a pretty face. Under the hood lived a 341 cubic inch V8, delivering 341 horsepower, a staggering figure for the late 1950s. This car didn't just have presence, it had power. It could surge forward with effortless authority, devouring highways with a blend of speed and grace that few others could match. The perfect balance of muscle and manners made it equally at home gliding down a city boulevard or cruising across entire states in comfort. Inside, luxury continued the same philosophy: color, texture, and flair. The upholstery matched the exterior hues, the round gauges sat elegantly in a sweeping dash, and every knob and switch gleamed with polished chrome. Every inch of it spoke to an era when car design was more than engineering. It was art. And though DeSoto would disappear by 1961, the Fireflite Sportsman remains a vibrant testament to what the brand was capable of at its peak. a celebration of the bold, optimistic, and daring spirit of the 1950s. A decade where excess wasn't feared, it was celebrated. So, there you have it. 10 rolling masterpieces that defined a time when elegance wasn't optional. It was the starting point. Each of these cars represented more than just progress in design or performance. They embodied a way of life, a moment in history when automobiles weren't just parked in garages. They lived in dreams. Now, I want to hear from you. Yes, you who made it this far. Tell me in the comments, which of these 1950s classics stole your heart? Is there one you'd add to the list? Or maybe, just maybe, did you once drive one yourself? Don't leave without sharing your story, because here, your memories are part of this journey too. And now, what's next? Well, if the 1950s impressed you, wait until you see what we've got on the most beautiful American cars of the 1940s. Click on the screen right now and join us for another ride through nostalgia, elegance, and pure automotive history. See you there.